Hello and welcome to the Catena-X Automotive Network. We are the Catena-X data space, and today Oliver Ganser and me will explain and give a tutorial on roles, labels and the holistic data space interaction. The disclaimer is that this video and illustration is not a Catena-X normative document. Its sole purpose is to foster general understanding of the Catena-X data space roles, mechanics and their relation to one another. Official decisions and judgments will only be made on the basis of released documents and artifacts by the Catena-X associations. All released and valid Catena-X normative documents again, or links to further relevant artifacts, can be found on our Catena-X website. And before we go where to find the Catena-X normative documents and all the information and artifacts, let me talk about our mission. This is why we do Catena-X. This is why we created Catena-X. We really want to enable radical collaboration to solve some of the toughest industry problems faster, cheaper, and of course scalable. We release standards and artifacts for a trusted multi-tier and self-sovereign business-driven collaboration. We are the first open and collaborative data space for the global automotive industry. To access the normative Catena-X documents, please go to our website, which can be found here. This is the foundation of our association. In the About Us section, you will find three different pillars of Catena-X. First, the association itself. Second, the developer environment. And third, everything about the operating environment. The foundation of our association is built on two important documents. One are the articles of our association, and the second one are the IP regulations, which are essential to create our data space. If you want to access normative Catena-X documents, you will find a library section on our website. And in the library section, you can, of course, filter and search for all important documents. Today, the basis for our tutorial and this video and the illustrations can mainly be found in three documents in our library. The first one is the Regulatory Framework 101. The second one is the Data Space Governance. And the third one is the Operating Environment and the Operating Model. All normative documents are linked to releases and versions which determine their validity and compatibility with other Catena-X documents. And to make sure that you understand this and you find the right documents, it's always marked on our documents. Here you can see in the red box. This video and illustration is based on the operating model version 2.1 and the technical releases 23.12. Here in red you can find all the releases that are relevant for our tutorial. In the future we will have quarterly releases, and you can see a little outlook here, but please be sure to understand that this document and this tutorial is based on 23.09 and 23.12. All technical releases and information can be found in our open source project Tractus-X, which is of course essential for everyone who wants to develop applications and develop anything for Catena-X. Therefore, we have our developer environment, and we will jump from our own website to the Tractus-X developer environment on the Eclipse Foundation website. It's all linked on our website. For any questions concerning the developer environment and how to develop any code, anything for Catena-X, please don't hesitate to contact our Managing Director for Value Creation and Technology, Mr. Michael Hahn. Welcome to Eclipse Tractus-X. This is where you will find everything and all the technical release information for our open source repository and everything that is needed to develop applications. And the Tractus-X 23.12 is now available, and as I said, the The next release will also be available here, and it's all compiled in a comprehensive way you can find in the section here. The Catena-X initiative depends on the association, on the development environment, and on the operations. And where do I have to go and when I want to do, this will be explained by Oliver Ganser.
So, as Klaus mentioned, there's a lot of stuff within Catena, and we want to take it apart step by step to help you to know where to go and when do you have to go, for what purpose, to what area of Catena. That's why we call it 101. Now, as you know, Catena is built on the association, a development area, and operating area. And all three of them combined are, first of all, offer fair competition and faster open markets, which is key. And we have to build trust and certified compliance within all our partners who work on behalf of Catena. Today, the question is for you, where do you go? You have to make a choice. So again, take those three roles and we will go through it. And we just have examples, and if you have further questions, you can go to the association and they always give you directions without being a member. So first one, if you want to build and steer and shape the development of the use cases, what kind of industry standards you want to build on, what decision we're going to take, go to the association. If you want to join the governance body, join the association. If you want to offer a certification service or operate a clearinghouse on behalf of the association, you go to the association. If you want to support our release and lifecycle management, what Catena is doing as an entire data space, go to the association. And if you want to shape and discuss standards, go to the association. For that, you have to be a member. Second point, if you, however, just want to help us to develop code in the open source environment, if you want to have access to Tractors-X, what Klaus mentioned before, if you're a software provider and you want to use our standards and artifact and implement them, or if you just want to stay informed, you do not have to become a member of the association necessarily. You can, but you don't have to. You can look in Tractors-X, you can look at our normative documents that are released, and because you build everything on open source, you can get it for free from there. Last one, and this is what we will talk about today. If you want to offer applications and services as an outfitter, software provider, if you want to offer advisory services and consulting services, if you need a provider that helps you to guide you or operate something on behalf of you, if you want to get a digital identity, or if you just want to exchange data with your business partner, an OEM with a first tier or first tier with a second tier, join the data space, go to the operating area. For this, again, you do not have to be a member of the association, but you can. And now the question is, if you focus on this operating area now, how does this work? What are the roles in this operating area? And which role is my relevant role to take the next step? Now, let's look at it and take it apart piece by piece. We have roles like an onboarding service provider or a conformity assessment body or a CSPA. Go to them and they will help you as a first step. Or go to an ESP or a BAP. It's a lot, right? The question is, what are those roles mean and what do they do for you and with whom do they interact? These are the questions we would like to answer. And because we have many of those questions, it will take a couple of minutes to digest what we will see in a second. And you're not the only one who have those questions. So the focus of this video today is to give you guidance through those roles and how they play together with each other. Actually, it's pretty simple. We have 7 roles in the operating area and we have 2 governance roles in the association. So in the association, we have the association itself and we have the conformity assessment, and they all can be found in this document up here in the operating area, and the operating model can be derived, as Klaus showed before, on the website. Those 9 roles all together shape and determine everybody who's in or working on behalf of the data space. We will have a role coming up that will happen in May this year. It will be testbed provider. It will come as well. It will help you not just to operate your productive environment, but also how to test your services and where can I try it out will be also a certified role and will come most likely in May this year. So this is easy picture. This is as well a simple one. So 2 up there, 7 down there. We will go through every single role in a minute. How those roles interact? Fun, right? That's how it is. This document will be our basis for the next couple of minutes, where we really go through every interaction. Every green label is a role, one of those 9 what we just talked about, and every orange one is a solution or service that will be offered from those roles or via those roles. Again, it's important, it's just illustrative. All the normative elements and decisions will be based on the documents. This is just high-level illustration, and but it shows you how things work together. It's important why we're here. It's all going for this value chain we want to create. From an N tier to a tier 2, tier 1, OEM, up to a recycler, we want to create a digital value chain or data-driven value chain. And for this, that all those participants can interact and create value for their use cases, we need a system that you see underneath how things come together. For those, we will have 3 labels you will see throughout this entire tutorial. One is trusted. Trusted identities are key. In a virtual world and digital world, how do I know that you are really you? This is a label we have a trusted. If I offer a consumer service or a solution, the question is, is it really based on the Catena standard? Is it compliant? Does it offer me self-sovereignty for my data? Everything where you see this label certified guarantees that these things are trusted and Catena compliant. And the last one behind me is the label qualified. We will get to that in a second and then reveal what's behind that. So let's get to action. Step-by-step walkthrough. Step 1, how does Catena build a trust and governance body? Now, let's start again with the data-driven value chain we would all like to achieve in our industry. An N tier supplies goods, and tier 2 reimburses him. Same procedure up the entire value chain and also downwards. Now, in a digital world, they say, I do not want to just have the goods, I would like to have a digital twin for that. I would like to have the product come footprint. The question is, in the digital world, who do I know that you are really you? So the first role we therefore create is the DPC, the data provider and consumer. So for me, it's important to understand that I'm a data provider or a consumer. And who on the other end in the digital world is really BMW, Mercedes, ZF, Bosch, Schaeffler, who is ever out there? How can I trust that this is really their identity? So we have to talk about identities. Right? This is the question, where do they come from? Remember the first seal. So the question is, who can issue digital identities? And where does the trust come from that those guys and people who issue the identity have the authority to issue an identity? Right? That's all thought through in the governance body of Catena. Now, let's go into the first label, trusted. It's mandatory for all partners that work and operate within the data space to have a data space trust seal. What means? Or that means that provide a verified and valid credential to identify you as an individual company. Everybody needs that. Every role, we will get to that in a second. Customer value, as I explained, I can be sure that everybody who's working in the data space has a digital identity and is verified as the company as they think they are. Prerequisite, every 7 roles, or all of those 7 roles, including potential future roles that are coming, need that trust. Second one, you need a positive validation, right? And we will get to that in a second. This validation has to be, the result has to be positive. You get credentials, and with those credentials, you get access to the data space. And those credentials will be verified over time on a regular basis, so that once you change your identity, you have to create or ask for a new validation. And we validate and verify if you still exist and if you're still who you are. That happens. Now, as a data provider and consumer, like an OEM, first tier, second tier, whoever is out there, who can issue a digital identity for me? You go to an OSP. We call them, that's a short term for onboarding service provider. You register your company at an OSP. They give you in return normative documents like the terms and conditions for the data space. And they, and we will get to that, validate your identity with other partners. Once that validation is positive, they give you credentials and you will get access to the data space. They put those credentials in an SSI wallet. We will talk about that in a second as well, where everybody, like your Apple wallet or your Google wallet, you have your passport in there. I'm me, and I can identify myself. That's happening between those two companies. That's the first step. Now, the question is, once you get this, you're trusted. Why is an OSP authorized to offer a digital identity for you? Well, because also the OSP, the onboarding service provider, is a trusted partner in the network, and it's certified to do that. So, the question is, who has the authority and is legitimate to certify this person or this company? Well, that was done by the association. Let me guide you through this. Behind an OSP, there's a governance body that is controlled and operated by the association or on behalf of the association. It's important to understand. And we will guide you now through this governance body step by step, because it is the source of trust and certification for the entire data space, for this huge picture of what you've seen before. Now, just so that you have a better feeling from those names, what companies are right now working behind there. As an example, there's T-Systems for the clearinghouse, there's a Conformity as an OSP, as one of them, there's a Deloitte as a conformity assessment body. These are companies as an example right down there. Important, there's a fine line, but it's an important line. If you read carefully, for example, for the OSP, it says onboarding service provider and in brackets, providers. So that role can be executed by multiple companies. Could be Conformity, could be somebody else right now. Same with the conformity assessment body or the digital clearinghouse. Now, let's go in detail. How does it start? The Catena-X Association, and we talked about that before. If you go to the lower left, you see we have this box with the black surrounding. It says source. This is where our standards and normative documents are all in this picture. The Catena-X Association is the only one who has an arrow, who can define and has the overall governance over those standards and documents. That's the key. And the association is, that's why you have also a euro sign there, or a financial sign. It's funded not by one entity or by two. It's the industry members. Right now we have 170 who are part of the association, who have the overall governance. And the automotive industry members form the association. It's not one country, it's not one company, it's not one branch, it's the entire industry who governs the association, who then, as an overall body, define and govern the standards. That's what we talked about before. So, let's go up. We covered the lower part, let's go up. There are some services, and Klaus mentioned them in the operating model and the technical releases, that only happen once or only can be offered once in the data space. They're exclusive. And you want to make sure that those services are not controlled by private individual companies. That's why the association for those services, they're getting less and less because the more federated and decentralized become. Those services are governed by the association, and we have an operator who executes and operates them on behalf of us. These are the core service B services. So, for example, who issues a business partner number or who runs a discovery service. These things are only there right now once. You want to make sure that the association as the entire industry representation controls them and keeps the control. So the first one is, last year we nominated a partner that runs those exclusive services on behalf of the association, and we get in return the list of participants who are part of the data space. What services are there? You can look them up in the operating model, and you see this big exclamation mark here if you want to take a deep dive. That's the first one. That service is key in the future. Keep in mind. The next one is the clearinghouse. We say, who can make sure that identities are really there? We use Gaia. Gaia is helping us to make sure that our identities are really validated. And Gaia has software and has code and a framework to make sure that those validations are done in the right way. And they nominated 3 clearinghouses right now, and we chose one of them, T-Systems, as we've shown right now. So T-Systems, the clearinghouse, requested a role from Gaia, and Gaia officially nominated an EIDAS partner like T-Systems to become a clearinghouse. We, as an association, hired or nominated T-Systems as our clearinghouse. Also, there is a financial flow. We pay this clearinghouse to work on behalf of the association. Not for their sake, but for our sake, for all the same. Because the association nominates those 2 partners to work on behalf of them, they are trusted from the beginning, right? Somewhere it has to start. That's the first step. Let's go to the next role, the CAB, the Conformity Assessment Body. Also, the association nominates the partner who runs and operates conformity assessments on behalf of the association. Again, here, the trust is given through the nomination by the association. In return, they provide the assessment results and the funnel of potential applicants that are right now asking for conformity assessment solutions or specific services. We will get to that in a second. The Conformity Assessment Body sources the reference documents from the lower left from the side, as you can see, from the documents what Klaus presented before, but also from the standards that we've released for CO2 calculation, for circularity, for traceability, whatever's out there. They used those standards as a reference and single source of truth. That's the first thing. Now, next one. How do they operate? The first thing is close the loop to the CSPB. We said the CSPB is trusted because we nominated him. The question is, did the CSPB also get all the relevant documents and artifacts? Did they install the technical basis as we designed to? We now ask the CAB to do the verification and assessment. So first step, the CSPB implements the Catena-X artifacts that are relevant for the CSPB. And you can see here it says sourced from 1. On the lower left, you see this is source number 1. So the CSPB goes to Tractus X, looks at the documents that are there, and gets those documents and artifacts and implements them into their organization. They request, the CSPB requests the CAB now, hey, I have everything implemented. Please certify me as a core service provider. There might be a financial flow in there between those 2 parties. That's why it's potential. The CAB looks at the reference documents on the lower left and assesses the conformity of the installment and implementation of the CSPB. So performs the conformity assessment issues. If the result is positive, a seal, a label, certified. So we have now the step that the CSPB is no longer just trusted, but it's also certified because the CAB confirmed that standards and the normative documents and the artifacts are in line with what's actually been implemented. And that's a key element. And they can do that, that's the arrow that goes up, also to other vendors, and we will talk about that in a second. Now, let's go to the OSP, because we said at the beginning, the OSP is also now somebody we said, okay, it's trusted, the first one, but the question is, are they really certified? Before we get to that, hang on for 1 second. So when a data provider, like an OEM or first tier, goes to an OSP and says, I would like to get my identity issued as a digital identity, the OSP, the first one is they take the registration data and they take the data and send it to the clearinghouse and requests a validation of the identity of the provider or of the partner who asked for that. The clearinghouse checks that, and if positive, gives the result back as an identity validated or as invalid. If this validation is complete and positive, the OSP goes to the CSPB and says, hey, here is a partner that is validated. It's the partner who says, I am Mr. X. And the OSP requests credentials like the business partner number or also technical credential from the CSPB that works on behalf of the association. And the CSPB gives and issues the credential for the relevant partner and puts this credential in an MIW. It's called the Managed Identity Wallet. That's a central component right now, but it will be decentral in the future. So you see on the OSP side, on the side here, you see an SSI wallet. You will see that with every role in the future. That's my wallet, and the CSPB runs it for me. It's trusted, it's certified, but right now it's your wallet, but somebody has to run it for you. But your credentials will be stored in your wallet then. So you as a role, as an OSPB, say, hey, I am actually who I say I am. Now the next step is, who asked or who says that an OSP is also a certified partner? So again, an OSP has to be somehow certified. So they take, as we saw with the CSPB, they take the relevant documents from the Catena standards. They ask the conformity assessment body and says, please verify and assess that I have this proper implementation of those standards. The assessment will be done by the CAB, and once the assessment is positive, a certified seal and label will be issued. That's key. And then you have the seal and label of certified. For all the documents now, this is the trust body, what we have as baseline for all. Now the point is, if I would like to access what I have here, if I'm a partner X, and we just talked about the data provider and consumer, we said, okay, where does this all come from, this trust? So I register my company, and the OSP gives me documents I should sign. Where do these documents come from? Remember, here the OSP, and this is this arrow here, the OSP gets the documents to onboard the partners from the normative section on the lower left. They take regulatory framework, whitelists, who am I allowed to onboard, who are not allowed to onboard, and they also look for what are the regulatory frameworks that should I use. The OSP, on behalf of the association, passes on those documents, asks the partner to sign. Once the validation is there, issues the validation, and you can see here as well, there's a little wallet, and if the credentials are positive, they put the credentials in there, and then you are a trusted partner within the network. That's key. And you're a trusted data provider and consumer, as we started our journey before. But this is not only happening for this, but for all other roles as well. The business application provider who wants to offer software within the data space, marketplace provider like a CSPA, enablement service provider, onboard other onboarding service providers, advisory provider or others. Everybody has to go through this process to register with an OSP to get my credentials, and then you're done. That's the first step. The right side, the left side of this picture, you can ignore. We just explained that you understand the mechanics behind it. You actually only have to find your OSP, and that list is on the website who can onboard you on the data space. Now, we started with this picture. We just took some stuff out. You can see now that suddenly some of those things here become green because they are validated identity roles. And so we built this picture now to the next level. The lower left you understood. We have the DPCs, everybody's a trusted seal, and let's get to the other roles that are to come.
Oliver now explained how trust comes in our network. Let me explain you now the next step, how to exchange data via certified solutions and services in our step-by-step walkthrough. Therefore, we created the label certified. The label certified is a mandatory requirement for every solution, service or app, or even a trusted partner like the ESP, the enablement service provider, the BAP, the business application provider, and the OSP, the onboarding service provider, that wants to offer and use within Catena-X data space, and they must have the validated certification from a Catena-X conformity assessment body. And this brings our customers and the customers of Catena-X the great value that it's really trusted and everything is compatible and interoperable. And of course, always again, the prerequisite is that every partner, every player in our system has a positive conformity assessment result, based always on our normative documents and the technical standards that are in the system. Therefore, we have created two different labels and categories. The first one is the certified solutions. Every business application off the shelf or built on your own, and every service has to get certified and will be a certified Catena-X solution. But the second label is even also important. You have to be certified as a company. An operating company has to get certified, and also every provider for applications also has to get certified as a company. For a data provider and consumer like a BMW, a Bosch, or even a smaller company, there are 6 different options to get connected, and Catena-X fulfills all needs that are there. Let's make it by an example. You want to share the product carbon footprint, PCF, with your partner, with your supplier, or with your customer. Of course, first you have to get into the system and you need the enablement service and the Eclipse data space connector on your side. The next step would be, okay, you're choosing your use case, in our example here, the product carbon footprint use case. And now what happens? You have to decide how you want to exchange data. The first one is you want to just exchange data, and therefore, again, you have to use a certified solution. You can just pick the source from the Tractus X, and you can, of course, certify it by yourself and get certified by our conformity assessment body, and then, of course, just share data with another partner who also uses a certified solution. You can develop even your own application, but always you have to get certified by our conformity assessment body. On this other side, you also have the commercial off-the-shelf offerings by different companies. And again, the classification, the enablement services, and the business application provider. Now, you as a data provider and consumer, you want to create your own solution, and you did this. You took the information from the Tractus X and you took the normative documents and you implemented your own application. Still, you have to go to the conformity assessment body, the CAB, get your certificate, prove the conformity, and then you can use it. Now, let's look at the second category, the certified operating company and the certified data provider. Now let's look where to get certified commercial off-the-shelf offerings from, options 4 to 6. Companies like Soveti, T-Systems, ZF, SAP, Siemens or German Edge Cloud already offer their applications. And they all went through the same process here on my side. So first, as an ESP, you have to use, of course, the documents and the Tractus X code, then build your service. You are a trusted partner already. Then you go to the conformity assessment body and you get certified. And again, you certify all services that you provide. So this is always the same process. You use what we provide as an association, what was built on top, code and everything, and you go to the conformity assessment body, get certified, and then you can offer it. The same then the enablement service provider is also important, of course, for the business application provider, and not only for the company, also for each and every solution that will be offered. In our case, for the PCF, there are different standards like the PCF rulebook and more standards that will be the basis to get certified. Now let's introduce the marketplace, the heart of Catena-X. There, the data provider and consumer can find the right application that solves the problem and where the value is created. the marketplace will be operated by a core service provider A. Again, there will not be one core service provider A, there can be multiple. And the core service provider A will provide all the services that are needed to, in the end, provide a marketplace, but also be able to consume the data. The core service provider A, of course, also needs to work with the normative documents plus with the code that is provided and will implement it and provide the marketplace. But in this case, for example, Conformity X. And of course, also Conformity X as a core service provider A needs to get certified, as every player in our system needs to get certified as well. And once we have a certified marketplace, of course, the application service provider, the business application service provider, and every application can be put on the marketplace. And every business application also needs to get certified. They get certified, they take the normative documents, they take the code for the respective use case, they get certified, and then they ask for listing on the marketplace. And then Conformity X in that case, or the core service provider A, will list the application on the marketplace. Next step would be that the data provider and consumer, for example, BMW, Mercedes, in this case, Bosch ZF as a tier 1, they can access the marketplace and can be sure that the applications provided are certified and trustful, and they can consume the application to fulfill their business needs. And this is how we create a certified business application provider based on standardized policies and allow a large scalability across the holistic supply chain. Everything built on trust, built on our framework, and built on the credentials that for each and every use case. Now we understood the story for the business application provider. But the marketplace and the CSPA also, of course, offers all the services provided by an ESP, an enablement service provider. And all the ESP companies plus the solutions also needs to get certified based on our standardized policies. And this again allows the scalability. And here you can see the same process. You request, you use the standards, you request your certification by the CAB, by the Conformity Assessment Body. You get your certificate for each and every service, and then you ask for listing on the marketplace. You get listed there, and finally you can provide and license a similar as a dedicated solution to the data provider and consumer based on our standards. And now Oliver and I explained the holistic picture of Catena-X and all the different roles and how everything is connected to each other. It's just one last role missing, the onboarding service provider. But it's always the same process. The onboarding service provider takes the documents, takes the code, develops the service, and then gets, again, certified by our Conformity Assessment Body before they offer the service to the data provider and consumer.
All right, there's one more thing. If you think you will get lost in this extremely maybe complex model, actually it's not, because we showed you the whole picture, but for you always is actually just one perspective is relevant. Again, we can talk a lot, but I think there are also many experts out there who would like to help, and we call them advisory partners. That's the final thing we wanted to reveal at the beginning, the label qualified. Mandatory for all advisory partners who would like to use the brand and the trademark Catena-X and offer the services to promote their own offerings. Meaning, if you would like to talk to somebody and says, hey, I know Catena and I can help you to get it implemented in your organization, or I can pave the way, I can lead the way for you, you should talk to only a partner who is a qualified partner. That's key. So for us as a as a potential user of that service. For us, it's trust that those partners really understand Catena, they understand the normative documents, they understand the latest releases, they understand the technology behind them, the architecture, and this entire picture, the model, what we showed before. That's the customer value. When everybody says, I'm a qualified advisory partner, those people have a really well-known understanding and deep understanding about Catena and can help you. Prerequisite here, it's that those partners need on a really individual level, not company level, individual level, eventually be able to consult. So it's not just I as a company with 10,000 people have one label. No, all X amount of people who would like to offer that service in my company should go and have to go through that service. And there will be, of course, an assessment on a group and individual level at the end to make sure that they always have the latest and greatest releases and versions in mind. So, bringing those partners on our map. Where are they located? On the lower side, as you can see. And again, as all the others, they need a trusted label, that we understand that they are part of it. So they have to go through an OSP. Next one, and it's a big difference, they do not have to go through a conformity assessment body. It's no technical assessment what they need. They need an assessment. Are they qualified to promote, to articulate and understand Catena as we explained it right now? That's why they go through the association and request an assessment by our industry governance, the association. And then if they pass it, they get the quality seal qualified. Then they can offer their services with the trademark and the brand Catena-X and also put their services on the marketplace and say, I'm a trusted and qualified partner to offer and communicate and promote and guide Catena. That's what it is about the advisory partners. And that's, I think, a key element. Last one, we have value streams. We showed you now the entire spiel, how Catena and all those roles interact. All roles, you see little logos here, like this blue one on this side or on this side here. We have a euro sign, could be dollar sign, could be in renminbi sign, yuan, whatever currency you would like to have. But here are potential value streams, because one thing is extremely important. Catena is decentral and federated. We do not force a business model on you. We do not tell an individual company what business model they have to apply in this data ecosystem. It's up to them. Those indications of those currency symbols are just potential revenue streams that are there or not there. But we show there's value extracted. Certification, to certify and assess conformity, is a value, and in return there's money, potentially. To list something on the marketplace and to have another lead generated for other partners is value, could be a financial transaction. The exchange of data, we so far at Catena do not see this as a monetary transaction. We see it, we built those use cases in industry together. So that's why you do not see a money sign on the use cases up there between the different partners. But all down here are interactions between monetary, licenses, certification, assessment. There are many potentials what you can define. But there's no central business model for Catena. And we want to make that very clear. We pretty much foster your business model in the digital world and enable you to have an innovation, a new dedicated model out there for yourself and get your way through that. We hope, as Klaus explained before, we've shown you now how this whole thing works together. Let us give you a quick summary, and I will ask Klaus to come on stage with me. All right, so you bear with us now for the last couple of minutes or hours. We do not know how often you repeated this video over and over again. But for us, I think it was important to really show and demonstrate to you how this all works together. And be rest assured that complexity, 99.9% of the people do not have to understand. For you, it's important, hey, where's the marketplace? Where can I onboard and what solutions are available? That's pretty much it. The rest, we take care of it. But we want to show you the entire model. Now, one thing or two more things. First one, there's a new role coming up. We showed that already before. The testbed provider will be probably coming around in May this year. And also keep in mind that those roles, a company can have multiple roles. Every role, however, has to be certified differently. And Klaus?
Very important for us, our federation. We don't want anyone to own the data space and be the dominant player. Catena-X is a federated data space. And that's why, except of the association and the sum of the services that cannot be decentralized due to technical reasons, will be federated, and we create the interoperability and the federation of all services.
Final remark. If you want to not just look at this video over and over again, and you want to zoom in into this interaction map and understand it compared to the operating model, okay, now the bits and pieces come together, you can download this interactive map right next to this video once you published it. So, thank you for bearing with us. Klaus and I will try to do an X now for Catena. Let's see. Yay! We got it done.
X.
First thing. And hope to see you soon. There will be hopefully more videos. If this is up to your liking, give us a shot and tell us this worked, this helped to support our message, and we will try to create additional videos like this. Maybe shorter, maybe more long, but stay with us. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.